Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Briefing for Friday, March 13th, 2026. Planned or ongoing prescribed fire activity is shown here with these purple or pinkish dots, and then in yellow and red we show our recent wildfires. Main impacts for the coming week is wind in the short term and hot temperatures coming in early next week. But looking at the precip for the past 7 and 14 days here, we can see we haven't seen a lot of precip this week. It's been dry this week so far, but this precip that we saw moving into the Great Basin occurred last weekend. We have had some precip the last couple of days over the central Idaho Mountains and into western Wyoming. Otherwise, it's been dry. And then the percent of normal for the past 14 days still showing very dry pattern across southern Great Basin and even central portions of Idaho as well. If we look at the 24-hour change in snow depth, this is the last 24 hours, how much snow we're melting off basically in a 24-hour period. So looking at these warm colors here, we're seeing anywhere from maybe 2 to 4 to 5 inches of snow melt, and we'll see that increase as well as we head into the middle of next week with warmer temperatures on tap. The central Idaho Mountains, however, are adding to their snowpack with some of the recent snow that they've seen up there, and we'll see a few more days of some of that precipitation before it dries out. Okay, this morning's satellite imagery showing the high pressure over Southern California, off the coast there, and then we have this atmospheric river to the north over the Pacific Northwest. And that's what's brought some of that precipitation to the central Idaho Mountains and into western Wyoming as well. We'll see a little bit more of that precip today, tomorrow, before things dry out next week. Okay, again, some precipitation expected over the central Idaho Mountains into western Wyoming today. Dry conditions further south. Ventilation rates are good today. Looking at our wind speeds here, we can see why. We have really strong winds expected across Idaho into western Wyoming, northern, especially northeast Utah, and northeast Nevada as well. So a pretty windy day today out there, especially over eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. It gets even worse tomorrow, but mixing heights are pretty good as well. Again, for the precipitation, just expecting some of that high elevation snow over central Idaho and western Wyoming. Maximum temperatures are on the warm side today, highs in the 70s across much of Nevada, highs in the mid to upper 60s over Utah. A very warm day, climatologically speaking, especially for Utah and Nevada. And the Snake River Plain as well, highs in the low to mid 60s. On Saturday, a low pressure system begins to move through the northern Rockies. That's going to send a little front through mainly the eastern half of the Great Basin, bringing a really significant increase in winds, and we could see some precipitation moving into northern Utah as well with that little front. Ventilation rates really improving tomorrow with the increase in winds. So tomorrow is going to be our strongest, our windiest day across the area. For portions of this upper Snake River Plain, we could see gusts upward of 50 miles an hour, so definitely hazardous wind conditions there. Western Wyoming will still be breezy, and in Utah, the strongest winds are going to be found at the ridge tops in central and northeast Utah. Otherwise, the valleys are going to be gusting to 30, 35 in some areas, especially here in northeast Nevada. Mixing heights are also quite favorable tomorrow. Precipitation on Saturday, again, we do see a little bit more across the state of Idaho, moving into western Wyoming and the mountains of northern Utah as that little front moves through. Minimum RHs are shown here, so RHs do come up again with that little front, but still staying on the drier side across the southern Great Basin. On Sunday, northerly flow is expected across the area. This is the coolest day of the week. Under that northerly flow, ventilation rates pretty good still before that high pressure ridge starts to really build in early next week. Wind gusts will lighten up across much of the northern Great Basin, but we'll see some higher northerly gusts across the southern Great Basin, southern Nevada, southern Utah. Mixing heights are still generally higher in Utah and eastern Idaho, but starting to decrease across the west with that ridge beginning to build in. Not really any precipitation expected on Sunday, and the maximum temperatures are definitely much cooler, so we're going to see high, especially in the eastern half of the basin, highs sticking mostly in the 40s under that northerly flow. Again, the 3-day precip totals are shown here. This is mainly today and tomorrow. As we head into the first of next week, we'll start to see the high pressure ridge building into the western U.S. and eventually over the Great Basin. Ventilation rates will start to decrease, but may be still somewhat favorable on Monday. And then on Tuesday, again, we'll start to see the ridge building into the basin with warming temperatures. Ventilation rates will start to decrease as we head into the middle of next week. A high pressure ridge, the center of the high pressure ridge on Wednesday will be located over Southern California with warm temperatures across much of the western U.S. Ventilation rates decreasing, and then more of the same on Thursday with that high pressure sticking around. Maximum temperatures increase quite a bit as that ridge builds in. This is Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to see highs in the mid 80s across much of Nevada and western Utah, southern Utah, highs near 80 in the Snake River Plain and the northern Utah valleys. So this is about 25 degrees above normal for the time of year. We're certainly expecting to set some records as this heat wave comes in midweek next week. Forecasted clearing index for the next couple of days is quite favorable with the winds that will be moving in. And precipitations for days 6 and 7, this is Wednesday and Thursday of next week, clear skies for the Great Basin. And then again, that 7-day total really just highlighting the precipitation we're expecting today and tomorrow. And then the 7-day snow totals, again, we should see some high elevation snow out of this low as it comes through, or this little front as it comes through western Wyoming and northern Utah. And then the extended forecast taking us into the last part of March here, much above normal temperatures. This high pressure sticks around, keeping things very warm. Record-setting temperatures to the south and possibly even for the Great Basin continuing, and below normal precipitation as well. So definitely a hot and dry pattern for the second half of March. That concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back on Monday for the latest updates.